Hey, what's going on there, everybody? So, I am just absolutely pumping out these NECA figure videos, aren't I? So, went down to my local Target, had to go pick up some soap, because they're the only ones that carry my soap. And every time I'm at Target, I always check the NECA section just to see if they have anything in stock that I wouldn't mind picking up. So I ran into this guy, the Creep from Creepshow. And actually, to my surprise, there was actually quite a lot of things in stock. I'm almost like eating my own shit for my last NECA video because I told you guys that I pretty much can never find anything in Target, and it still holds true. But this time, I was pretty surprised. They had quite a few of these guys in stock, as well as Halloween 2 and Ash vs. Evil Dead. And then, of course, your typical shit tons of Predator variants and Alien variants, but I could give a shit less about those. Anyways, so The Creep from Creepshow. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with this movie, it's a pretty damn good movie in my opinion. They actually has Creepshows 1 and 2, and then the recent TV series that is booted up since 2019. I think they're in the works with Creepshow Season 3. I'm not much of a fan for the TV series in general. I think they're kind of meh in my opinion, and that's actually what this figure is based off of, is the TV series. But that's completely fine because it holds the licensing name, and I think he looks pretty cool for what he is. Creepshow actually was started as movies back in the 1980s. You had Creepshows 1 and 2, 2 being my favorite in particular. Yeah, this guy is surely not the Creep from the 1980s. He's actually the Creep from the TV series, like I've mentioned. And if you guys aren't familiar with Creepshow, essentially what this individual is this guy is called the Creep. He holds a collection of comic books that tell horror stories that are roughly 20 minutes long. You get about 4 of them in each movie, so it totals up to about an hour's worth of content. And that's pretty much essentially it. There's not much else about that. Basically, he shows you a story. The story then becomes a live action sequence, and you get to see what actually happens within the story. So it starts as a comic, then a live action story. So pretty interesting. So if you are interested, I would highly recommend you guys watch Creepshows 1 and 2, not the TV series. Those movies are extremely great and underrated in my opinion. So let's go ahead and unbox this guy. All right, so here's what the figure looks like out of the packaging. So I guess we will start off with accessories first. You do get a lantern. He is able to hold this with his alternate hand. What's very interesting, as a first NECA figure that I've ever owned, that actually has a rubber hand. At least the material for the plastic is very rubbery, and the fingers are, you can manipulate the fingers. As you can see, I can bend them. This actually feels really high quality in my opinion. I really wish that NECA would do this with all their alternative hands, just because a lot of the hard plastics just feel cheap to me. But I mean, look, he's able to even hold onto my finger. So yes, you can attach this. I will do this right now. You can attach this to the lantern if you want him to hold it. If I can manage to get him to do it. There we go. And now he's holding the lantern. So pretty nice little addition. He does come with the comic book that I was talking about, so here's what the comic books look like. Pretty detailed. I'm actually surprised they went all out on this. It's very flimsy though, so be very careful not to bend this too much because it is like a laminated piece of paper. It does have a comic inside of it, a little story. So you can have him hold that in the hand. And then the final thing is he gets, I believe this is an alternative head. He does come with a skull, and the reason why I say it's an alternative head, because if you look at the bottom, it looks like a ball joint can go in there. So if you wanted to swap out his head, I'm pretty sure you can do that with a skull. Don't know why you'd want to, but yeah, he has an alternative head where you can just slide that in. Otherwise, you can make him look like he's holding the skull instead. So that's pretty much it for the accessories. He doesn't come with a whole lot, which is pretty fine and dandy because the figure is where it really shines in terms of detail. Okay, so as far as the figure is concerned, he, right off the bat, I'm actually kind of surprised how much just detail they've put into him. I mean, compared to the Ghostface figure that I had, the Ghostface figure, you know, the torso, there was no torso. It was just a basic plain torso. This guy, they've completely detailed the living hell out of him. If you wanted to take this robe off, you could. Not sure how you would go about that. I think you just probably lift his arms up and pull it off. But just by feeling the figure, he does have a sculpted torso underneath. You can feel his pelvis, his skinny little legs. I mean, we can pull up his little gown here and just show it. See, as you can see, it is fully sculpted underneath the cloak. So if you really wanted to take off the cloak and just have him just kind of like a ghoul just hanging out, you could totally do that. In the hood, just like the ghost face, I didn't mention this in my ghost face video, but the hood has a piece of metal, like a bracket in the hood, where you can bend it and manipulate it to look how you want the hood to look in terms of the front. So that's a pretty nice little feature. I thank NECA for that, because I think that is a needed feature. So you can bend it, make it pop out a little bit more if you want, something like that. Probably lower the bill a little bit. I don't know. Anyways, so as far as articulation is concerned, he does go about here in terms of the arms. Does do a full 360. Though you're going to twist the torso or the cloak a little bit. Now, as far as the elbows, I feel like these, I don't know what is up with NECA and their figures in terms of the elbows, but they feel very stiff all the time. But the elbows are double jointed, so that's a very nice little feature. So you got a joint here and a joint here. Just be sure to support it while you're bending these, because they're extremely stiff and you do not want to break these. So let's go ahead and see if I can. Yeah, this one's a little really stiff right here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this one. I'm really struggling to get this one to bend. I'm probably going to end up breaking it. There we go. Got it. There you go. So he can go all the way up to his face pretty much with that double joint. So very nice that they've included a lot of articulation with this figure, so you can pose him however really you want him. So that's that. Now, and of course you can do that with the other one as well, though I'm not going to try that just because it's going to take me forever to try to articulate him. But his feet, he is a little hindered by his cloak. I think it can go even higher than that if you remove his cloak. So you can go pretty damn high though with it being on. And then as far as the legs are concerned, it goes about that far. And then he does have a swivel in his foot, so you can get him to stand properly, and it goes about that far down in terms of the joint. Now he does stand on his own, as you can see. I was actually surprised. I was thinking I was going to need a figure stand for him. Because his feet are so flat, it adds a lot of support for the figure. I'll pull him back a little bit. As you can see, the base of the feet allow this figure to stand up on his own for the most part. He's a very light figure, so that also helps too. There's not a whole lot of material with him. Otherwise, if he was like my Michael Myers, where he's just a big, bulky, heavy weighted figure, this would not work. So you would need a figure stand. But I digress. And that's pretty much it for articulation. You do get a swivel in the torso, so you can move around. He has a crunch in the torso. Feels very loose though, so that's kind of worrying to me. Like he's very, like you're able to easily manipulate this, and that's kind of concerning in my opinion. Hopefully it doesn't break. There's nothing in the pelvis, so it's just a torso crunch. Now you can remove the hood too if you wanted to, and as you can see, he does have hair on the top of his head, though what's not very good looking on my figure in any way. Look at how they've glued it onto his head. That is just absolutely terrible. It just looks like they plopped it on, like glued this living hell out of it just on the top of his skull. It almost feels like there's a hole there too. So maybe it melted the skull a little bit when they were attaching the hair in production. So that's kind of but I'm gonna keep the hood on him anyways, so it's not that big of a deal to me. But for those of you that want to maybe remove the cloak, that's probably going to be a big deal breaker if your figure looks like that. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much going to do it. I can't wait to add this guy to my shelf. I don't know how I'm going to pose him yet. Judging by the intro, you probably have already guessed, though. I tend to pose my figures in my intros so you know what they look like. But anyways, guys, that's... Oh, shit, I didn't even notice. It's got a metal bracket back here, too, if you wanted to have the hood back here a little pointy. Didn't even notice that. anyways, that's pretty much gonna do it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I will definitely have another one if I get another NECA figure. So I'll see you guys later, and peace out.